here. There we are. Sweet. All right, we're live. We're talking about food. You guys are talking about. I see people saying something about beef jerky, and then somebody mentioned bacon. Then somebody says steak. Oh, dude, I like steak. We had steak last night. I like ribeye. Ribeye. So bone-in ribeye. Oh, that's the best, man. That's so good. I don't eat a lot of bacon. I know I talk a lot about bacon, but I don't actually eat a lot of it. We have bacon in the freezer. My wife sometimes uses bacon for breakfast, but we don't eat a lot of it. It's delicious. We just don't eat a lot of it. It's horrible for you. You know, it's not good. It's not good for you, right? But we don't. Yeah. Not that ribeyes are good for you, but ribeyes are probably a lot better for you than bacon. That's for sure. But I do eat a lot of chicken. I eat a lot of chicken. I kill a good number of chickens. Probably 3 a week. The murder count is high. Let's just put it that way. I am very chickens. Poor chickens. All right, let's get this show on the road. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. We're hanging out a couple hours here, just doing Q&A, talking about stuff, all that kind of stuff. So you can throw questions in the chat, or, you know, and we'll just hang out and answer questions and talk and crap like that. So that's tonight. We do have a giveaway going on. Don't forget about the giveaway. Hopefully we can get a link in the chat for the giveaway. It looks like Nightbot is working hard at giving you guys all a link to that. Hopefully it works. I think there was once that the giveaway link recently didn't work. Something didn't work. And you guys were yelling at me probably the entire live stream, and I didn't even notice it. And then finally I was like, oh crap, the link's not working. Something was broken at one point, but we fixed it for that live stream. If it's broken in this live stream, you have to let me know. And then we could probably fix it as well. So anyway, giveaway tonight. We're giving away $50 damn Lair store credit, where you can get a whole bunch of cool books and stuff to use in your D&D or Pathfinder 2 games. And we have the Secret Art of Game Mastery too, which is like genre system neutral. So it doesn't matter what kind of games you're running, Shadow Dark or DC 20 or whatever, then you can probably use that too. Anyway, the winner will get $50 to spend on our store. So join the giveaway. It's free. We'll draw the winner at the end of the live stream, which is what we always do. Also, don't forget to check out our Kickstarter, our upcoming board game, Dungeon Drifters. There's a link in the chat, hopefully, for that, where you can learn more about it. Essentially, it's like a TTRPG adjacent board game. Call it a dungeon crawler, where you have, you know, a person that goes into a dungeon, you kill stuff, you take their loot, you gain power. We also have a mechanic where you can take control, like you can gather the enemies as your own, and you can use their own power, so you can actually have enemy followers. Kind of like what we don't call minions or summons, kind of the similar type of mechanic. And then you can use them as you fight your way through the dungeon and stuff. But it's a competitive game, so the ultimate goal is to build your character up, become as most powerful you can, defeat the most enemies, gather the most loot, and then escape the dungeon first and beat your friends. So that's the gist of the board game. We've designed it to be super rules light, so that it's really easy to play. You can pick it up quickly. You can teach it to your younger children, family members. I shouldn't say children. I get in trouble for marketing reasons if I say children. Younger family members, you know, casual friends and stuff. You know, people who like perhaps aren't super interested in like D&D or Pathfinder 2 or something, because it's like really heavy and takes a long time and stuff. But a board game like this, you can just pull it out and start playing. It's designed to be super fast to set up as well. Like doesn't have like long or complex scenarios that you have to lay out a bunch of tiles and fiddly bits for and all of that. It's just like you throw some tiles down, you populate the first room, monsters and heroes, you start playing. It's like 10 minutes to set up and stuff. So we're trying to that's kind of like the thing we're doing with it, you know. So go click the link down below, learn more about it and stuff. If you put down a $1 reservation before the Kickstarter launches, you're gonna get the Silk Von Arachne mini and his loot drop for free when you back the project on Kickstarter. So make sure you put down your $1 reservation. It literally, that $1 counts toward your Kickstarter pledge, and then you also get a free mini, which is it's not only available for reservations, but if you get it after the fact, it will cost you extra. So you might as well get it for free when you make a reservation than to not. So yeah, anyway, click links and stuff. There's a whole page that talks more about Dungeon Drifters and gives you more information and stuff and all that kind of cool stuff. Oh, baby. Okay. Crimson Soul, hello, you are brother, welcome. Thank you for your video on cheating. I think that was probably an older video because I haven't done a video on cheating recently, but I know I have done at least one, if not a couple, on cheating, so I'm happy to help, dude. That's why I do this, to help people, because game mastery is not always easy or straightforward. David Bally says, do you have a catalog of your videos? I do have a catalog of my videos. If you go to my YouTube page, it lists all of my videos. I know that's not what you're asking, but that's all I have. It is actually, what did you say? You're probably looking for something? I'm looking for one that talks about making bosses from normal stat blocks, assigning legendary abilities and such. I don't think that I have a specific video about that. I don't think I have one in particular that directly talks about that specific topic, to be honest with you. Yeah. What I would just do is I would take your stat block, okay? Let's say you have a goblin and you want to, let's do an ogre. Let's say you have an ogre and you want to make him legendary. So just give him 3 legendary actions, and then one of his so generally speaking, when you do a legendary action, at least one of you have 3 legendary, usually have 3 things you can choose from, right? One of them should be movement related, a way that you can move around the map, right? And it should not trigger opportunity attacks either. So something that helps you move around. That's the first type of legendary action I would give a monster if I'm making him into a boss. The second thing that you want him to be able to do is some sort of special attack or ability that is only a legendary action. So it can't be in his normal stat block. You want it to be something new and fresh that monster can do, right? And he only does it as a legendary action. And then the third thing, usually what I'll do for the third thing is I'll just duplicate something from his normal stat block. You don't have to. You can obviously give him something new and fresh, but you know, like if it's a dragon, the dragon will have a tail swipe or something, you know, which is in his stat block, and you could normally do it or something. But I think a dragon legendary action, like the wing buffet, there's like a wing buffet I think they could do. That is something that's not in their normal stat block. It's only a legendary action type of thing. So that's the sort of things you're going to do. Now, if you're assigning legendary actions to create a creature into a boss monster, like you could punch the math and see how it affects the challenge rating and stuff, but I usually would just add like 1 to the challenge rating and call it a day. Just estimate the crap. Like you don't have to punch all the math and get all crazy about it. It's not that. The math isn't super tight to begin with, so I wouldn't worry about it a whole lot, not for D&D 5th edition at least. So that's the kind of all you need to know, I think, for making adding some legendary actions onto it. It's not too complicated. Just throw some crap on there and call it a day, and you should be fine, dude. Make sure you give your boss minions though. I know legendary actions, the whole purpose of them is to help with the action economy of things, so you could have a solo boss fight, but they still always suck. They never really work that well if they don't have minions. So you need to have some minions. So like if your boss monster is like a level 10 boss, like a CR10, the minions might be like CR2 or something. They need to have a little bit of meat on them so that they have some staying power, and then they might hit and do a little bit of damage and stuff like that. And because of the bounded accuracy in D&D 5th edition, you can add in CR2s and still have them be kind of meaningful in a fight, you know, with a CR10 boss or so. Now, not the same for Pathfinder 2. It's a totally different beast because there is no bounded accuracy and stuff. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about D&D right now. So there you go. I like Missed Step. I like teleport abilities. When I'm thinking about a legendary action for my bosses, yes, I absolutely want. I like teleport things, misty steps, things like that. Or I'll just write in. You know, he can move his speed without triggering opportunity attacks. That's an easy way to do it as well, because the last thing you want for a boss is for him to get pinned down, surrounded and pounded into oblivion. And so building in some sort of movement thing into legendary actions that lets them get out of dodge if things are looking bad while it's not their turn, right, is super important. Because being locked into one place while the players get to do stuff and then not being able to get out of that spot could be very, very bad for you. So yeah. All right, throw questions in the chat. If you could put question in all caps, that's going to help me a lot. And if you already put a question in and I didn't answer it, you can repost it. Only repost when I ask you to repost. Otherwise, it will be like spammy crap, and then somebody will get angry at you and grouchy, and then you'll get bonked on the head, and then you'll bleed out in the corner, and then somebody will probably who loves you will miss you. So don't spam. It's not good. For boss battles, should layer actions be considered in the CR? Okay, what does Luke do? No, I just make legendary actions and even layer actions, and I don't give a flying crap. I don't even include it into the CR. I'll just do it. I'll just do it because the boss battle is supposed to be harder anyway. And in D&D 5th edition, the encounter building math historically has not been very good. I have heard that the 2024 version, it is better, but I have yet to experience that myself, so I can't comment at this point. But I usually don't mess around with it. If I took a CR10 and I turned it into a boss and I add legendary actions and even layer action on it, I still consider it to be a CR10, and then I throw some minions in, and usually things are just fine. There's never really been an issue. If it's a super hard fight, great. That's what I was going for. It's a boss fight. That's what I want. So I don't screw with it. The correct answer is probably, of course you should account for the additional attacks and all this stuff into the challenge rating system. And technically the way that monster CR is calculated is like how much damage they output per round. So of course, if you're adding like extra ability to do attacks, that should be accounted for in their damage output and ultimately their CR. Like, I know how the math works and I know how you're supposed to calculate it. But I usually don't screw with it in my own games because it's never been necessary. And I've been running D&D 5th edition for not quite as long as it's been out, but like almost. And it's never been a problem. I just say screw it, I just do it, and it works. So that's kind of that's my answer. When are you gonna start playing Castles and Crusades and make products for it? Well, I have the books. Not anytime soon. It's not on my schedule right now. Right now I'm really into Shadow Dark. I'm enjoying that a lot. And I have a D&D 5th edition game. I have a Pathfinder 2 game. I'm over Pathfinder 2. I'm done with Pathfinder 2 mentally. Like, mentally, I'm just done with it. I've played Pathfinder 2 for almost 2 years now. I think we are very close to our 2-year anniversary of Pathfinder 2. I think we're getting very close. We're definitely a year and a half, but I think we're over the 1.5 year mark. I think it's almost been 2 years. But I've played Pathfinder 2, and as a game master, like, I still enjoy playing it, but after playing it that long, there are some things about it that that don't necessarily scratch my itch, or that I don't particularly enjoy or something. The biggest thing I think, well, there are two things actually. So all of my Pathfinder 2 games, by the way, are recorded and you can watch them. I have a separate YouTube channel called the DM Lair Plays, and I don't know if somebody has a link to that, they can throw it in chat, but that would be wonderful. You can watch all my Pathfinder 2 games over there. And whenever I complain about, I have two main complaints that you will probably hear in those videos. My first complaint about Pathfinder 2 is spells are so lackluster. Like, they're just so meh. And I understand why, I believe, because they're trying to keep Pathfinder 2 math and balance is very tight. Everything is super well balanced. They did a great job balancing it. part of balancing the game is that spells can't be crazy because that unbalances things. And so, but what happens though is that spells just always feel very meh. Every time I'm running, I don't have player. I'm not a player. I'm a game master. But every time I have a monster that's a spellcaster, I look at the spells he can cast, and I'm just like, I think I would just rather attack. I would rather do a physical attack. I would rather do a physical attack. It's like I look at the spells, and I'm just like, none of these spells excite me, and I would probably just do a physical attack instead. Especially when I consider the added complexity of looking up a spell and adjudicating what it does and stuff, when I could just do a physical attack really quickly. So I don't know. They never excite me a whole lot, and yeah, that's my first thing. The second thing is tracking all the conditions. Oh my goodness. Ooh, man, we play at this table right behind me, right? And I had to buy cards to track all the conditions, and then we use little rings on the minis, and then Joe, the player who sits to my right, he is in charge of all the cards, and so anytime a condition is applied to somebody in combat, he finds a card, he puts it there, usually there's a die associated with it, I put a ring on the mini, and then we gotta keep track of it, right? And a lot of the players, more and more, the players, as they're like I think they're level 8 now, more and more as the players gain levels, their abilities and the things they do apply conditions to creatures. More and more, like demoralized or something or other, and so we're kind of frightened. That comes up a lot too, and so we're frequently having to put these conditions and things on them, and then you got to remember them during gameplay and keep track of them and stuff. And it doesn't make the game more exciting for me, and it just adds a level of logistics and bog, that I personally don't feel a payoff. I know there are tons of people that love that crap, and that is really cool for them. But personally, I don't get the payoff. It's just kind of like, ugh, it feels like work, And I know there are conditions in 5th edition D&D, but they don't come up nearly as much in, what I mean? And the conditions in D&D 5th edition, not all of them, but the ones that do come up, when they happen, seem to be more impactful to the game. And it's like, oh no, you're poisoned. That really sucks. Or, yeah. So I don't know. Those are the two things this is my own personal, thing, But the things I love about it, obviously, are like math. The encounter balance is really good. Like if I create something that's supposed to be hard, it's usually hard, And then I like the critical hit system, and like if you just roll above 10, it's a critical hit. So there are definitely some things that I really like about it, and then there are obviously some things I don't. But I think that's true for any game system. Any game system you run, there's going to be things that you like about it and things you don't like about it, and that's just normal. So anyway, what was I talking about? You were talking about Castles and Crusades, and so right now I'm like, but see, the thing is, my players are having fun with Pathfinder 2. They're having fun. I have one player who usually does not like crunchy game systems, and he said at our last game session, he's like, it's really crazy because for Pathfinder 2, what I'm finding is that usually I don't like this type of game system, but I like Pathfinder 2, and one of the reasons he said he liked it is that he's got tons of ideas for different characters. Like there's all these different options and different builds and things you can do, and he thought that was really cool, and he liked it. So the players are still having fun, so we'll keep playing it until they are no longer having fun, or we finish our campaign, and then at that point we'll go on to something else. But I think probably what we're gonna probably do Call of Cthulhu next, honestly, because I have the starter set. It's still in the plastic wrap. I haven't opened it yet. The problem is, and the reason I haven't opened it, this is my justification. The moment that I open the Call of Cthulhu starter set and start reading it, I'm gonna want to run a game. And then when I want to run a game, I'm not gonna have any time in my life. I don't have time to run a game, an additional game for some other group and stuff. So I'm afraid that if I start reading this, I'm gonna get all jazzed up, and that I'm gonna justify setting aside like more time to run a game, and that's not wise for me right now. And so I'm like, I can't open this thing up. I got to keep this sealed so that I can't get tempted. You know what I mean? I'm like sealing off. I know I got it 6 months ago. I know I got it where did I buy that? I think I got that at Gen Con. I got that at Gen Con last year. You were with me. Were you with me, Goliath, when I bought that? You might have been, I don't know. But I bought that thing. And then, yeah, but I'm afraid to open it. Yeah. So I'm gonna be going to Chaosium Con this, when is it? It's in the spring or something this year. It's near where I live, so I'll be going there, and then I'll get to play a bunch of Call of Cthulhu there, and that'll be fun. So that should scratch that itch for me. A physical block to stop playing a new thing, always useful. Yeah, don't take it out of the plastic wrap. Okay, question: Is there a problem with only playing short games, like 1 to 2 hour game, and how would you set it up? I don't think there's. I mean, the only inherent problem I think maybe off the top of my head that comes to my mind when I think about a short game is that usually there's always some, like, you know, dead time at the beginning of a game session where people are talking, getting catched up, you know, looking things over. There's just this chit chat, this time that happens at the beginning of a game session. You know what I mean? And I mean, that might be 15 minutes. It might be a half an hour, depending on your group and how you do things. But if you only have 1 to 2 hours to play and there's 15 minutes plus of chit chat time, like, boom, your game time is really getting cut into, you know. And it's almost like, it's like if you're gonna herd together a bunch of pigs, why did I say pigs? What's the proper metaphor? Herding chickens? What do you normally herd together? There's a metaphor that I'm missing, and it's not pigs and it's not chicken. Herding geese, herding spiders, what? Come on, guys. Sheep. Is it sheep, really? Herding cats. Thank you. That's what I was going for. I have so many cats, and I'm like, I don't know my metaphors. So scheduling a game session and finding a time that players are going to be there, right, is many times like herding cats. We all know that scheduling is probably the number one reason that games fall apart. And so if you're going to go to all the effort of herding cats and getting them all in one place at one time, and you're going to set everything up, you know, and get everything going, especially if you're hosting in a local, at your home or game shop or something, and you're going to go through all that effort, and you're going to drive somewhere and stuff, and then you're only going to play for 1 hour. Oh my word. And it's like, geez, that's a lot of effort for like very little payoff. Even 2 hours, it's like, ugh. 3 hours, it's like, man, there's a little bit more meat there, but my preference is 4 hours. I always want to play for 4 hours. So I think there's that to consider. Now, if you're playing online, a little bit different, not quite as big of a deal, right? But the other thing too is that when you have a shorter game session, you just don't get as much accomplished. You know, you play for an hour or two, and then you come away and you're just like, you know, we didn't really do a whole lot. Not a whole. The story didn't progress very much. We didn't get that far into the dungeon, or we weren't able to track down the clues for the murder mystery that we're currently on, or whatever. And so I feel like you don't accomplish a whole lot, and so there can be a lack of feeling of forward progression, and you might just feel like things are kind of stagnant or something. So I think that's something else too, you know, to be considered as well. You're not going to get a whole lot done, so to speak. Not that your goal is to like get a bunch of crap done and like get through the content as quickly as possible, you know, but there needs to be a balance. You can't just be like stagnant with no forward momentum, because that's not encouraging, or that doesn't get you all hyped up and enthusiastic. It's like, oh, we're going to go to D&D today and nothing's going to happen. Yeah, that doesn't excite anybody, you know. Or I mean, probably excite someone, but most people would probably not want that. So I feel like, how did I forget herding cats? I don't know. I'm a bad person. I'm not smart. I did miss your super chat. Holy crap. So anyway, I think those are two downfalls that come to. Oh wow, I really missed it. That was a long time ago. Where did this go? Okay, sorry, buddy. Steve, thank you for the super chat, dude. I was just talking and I'm like not paying attention. Steve says, cheers guys. I had an NPC during dialogue with the group use an item that created the effect of a spell. Hallucinatory terrain. Group equals mad unfair. I don't think it's unfair. Players would do the same thing. Like, players can cast spells during a dialogue during a conversation too. A lot of times they do that. Now, of course, when you cast a spell, it's obvious that you're casting a spell, and if you're talking with a group that is potential, that is like, maybe it's a group of goblins or a group of ogres or something, or it's like a lich and his minions. If you start casting a spell, they're gonna assume that you're probably attacking or that it's offensive, and they might just attack preemptively or in response, I should say. So like that is one thing that always has to be considered. Like this happens frequently in one of my games. Like there'll be like a conversation, enemies or whatever, before just attacking. There'll be like lots of little talky, and like I'll have a player who's like, "Oh, I want to cast this spell," and I'm like, "Is there a verbal component?" Yes. Are there somatic components? Yes. Well, then you should be aware that this other group will know that you're casting a spell, and they're not exactly friendly, so they might assume you're attacking, and they might attack in response. So you should know that. And then the player is like, "Yeah, I don't do it then." And if he wants to, it's fine, but he needs to know that like it's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like if I meet someone in a dark alley, and like he's not super friendly with me, and then he reaches in his waistband, I'm probably going to reach in mine too, because I'm assuming that something's about to go down. Like, it's just like, you have to assume that if you make an offensive move, that the other party is probably going to respond in turn. It's a logical assumption. So I don't think there's anything unfair or wrong with having an NPC use an item that creates the effect of a spell, or casts a spell. There's nothing wrong with that. Players do it all the time. And if players do it, why would it be unfair if an NPC does it? I mean, as long as the spell is adjudicated properly and stuff, and I don't see a problem with that, And there are tons of items that create the effects of spells, and besides which, you as the game master don't have to follow those rules anyway. You can give your NPCs special little tokens that if they crush it, it casts a spell or something. You can do stuff like that, You don't play by your bad guys don't have to play by the same rules as the player characters do, and the player characters don't play by the same rules either. Our bad guys have stat blocks, and special abilities and stuff like that, and player characters have completely different stat blocks and special abilities. Like, we're playing different games in a way. So yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about that unless something, the way you posed it, it sounds fine. Unless there's something more in there that I'm not aware of, then The best Rocket Crotch, what's up, dude? The best way to herd cats: bribe them with food and let them come to you. Same thing with players, probably. If they don't show up, they don't get a cat treat. Yeah, I think players probably would be better bribed by pizza, Squeaky's gonna revoke your owner card. Well, Squeaky's not here. I don't know where he is. He's upstairs somewhere. So that's kind of his problem. If you posted a question and I missed it, please feel free to repost it. Have you had a chance to look into what's been revealed so far about the new Monster Manual 2024-2025? Nope. When I receive the physical book, I will look at it. I think I'll be getting access to the PDF, or not it's not a PDF, but like the D&D Beyond version of it pretty soon. But I'm probably not gonna look at that. I don't like looking at electronic crap. I like looking at physical books. It's just way easier for me to just pick something up and flip through it and read stuff, I don't like looking at that crap electronically. So once I have the physical book, then ask me again, and I'll probably have a better answer for you. But right now, I don't know anything about it. What's your take on lineages like Reborn and Dampier? I mean, I don't care. I don't have any problem with them that I'm aware of. It's just it's a way to be a little different. So you're like a human or something, but like what is it? Dampier is like you're the offspring of a vampire, or you're part vampire or something like that. So it's like, okay, whatever. So you can be an elf Dampier or a human Dampier, I think, right? It's something like that. Yeah, I don't care. Just at a base level, like, do you care? Do you have anything that you think is wrong with it? No, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. It's just part of the game, So you're a half elf, or you're a full elf, or you're like, whatever. How do you improve when to cut off player small talk and fill time without an awkward, meaningless banter? Like, when is the talkie over? So when I'm ready to play the game, the talkie-talkie is over. So usually what happens is when my player, well, it's different. It's a little different depending on my games. So I have 2 games that the players are paying to play. So when I show up, we pretty much just start right away. There is no banter and talkie-talkie. They're all paying to play in the game. So when it's time to start, like, we start playing. That's it. Roll for recap. We do the recap. We start playing. There's no like sitting around chilling, talking about stupid bullcrap. And a lot of them are strangers anyway, so they might not be predisposed to talk about stupid bullcrap anyway. You know, they're just there to play. So we start playing. Now for the group of friends I have that we play in person here, usually what's happening is that I'm still getting things set up. And then they'll start arriving usually a little bit before the official start time, and then they'll sit there and they'll start chatting and stuff like that. And it usually, like, our start time is 4 p.m., but it usually takes me longer. I'm not usually ready at 4 p.m. to start, and so I'm setting up the camera, or I'm setting something else up, or I'm ordering the pizza, you know, because we do this thing where we usually get 2 pizzas. One of the pizzas we get the same thing every time, but the other pizza, they have I think it's an app. I think they have an app or a website they go to that rolls up a random pizza. And so when everybody's here, we'll roll up a random pizza and then we'll order that. Unless it's something stupid, crazy, and horrible. And then we'll change something. Like last time, what was it, yesterday? No, this last Sunday. The app or whatever rolled up a really nasty combination. And they were like, no, we're not doing that. So, but anyway, for that group, usually what happens is by the time I get everything set up and I sit down, I'm ready to go. Usually I'll cut off the banter fairly quickly, unless there's something really interesting being talked about, and then I might listen for a little bit or join in or something. But most times when I'm ready to play, I just, you know, they'll be like doing their little talkie-talkie thing. And then as soon as there's a little break, I'm like, okay, guys, let's roll for recap. And then we start. So I'll just kind of cut in as soon as I get a little opening, you know, and then we'll get going. So, but they probably end up with about a half an hour that they're just sitting there talking and stuff, because some arrive early, you know, and I'm usually late. So they get about a half an hour or something. But as soon as I'm ready to go, we start. We pretty much start. So that's kind of how I handle it. I don't know. There are different ways to do it. You know, that's not the right way. It's just a way, I think. All right, I see more questions. I'll get to those. Just a friendly reminder to go check out our upcoming board game Kickstarter, Dungeon Drifters. There should be a link in the chat, and there's a link in the description that you can click on it and you can learn more about it. There's an entire page there that'll give you more information. The basic idea is that you choose a character and you go into a dungeon, you kill things, you take their stuff, or you might you might defeat the enemies and then they'll join your side and help you through the dungeon as you try to, and you're competing against your friends too. So the whole idea is to kill things, take their stuff, and become the most powerful dungeon drifter of all, and then escape the dungeon without spilling your coffee. That's an important part of it. I'm being dangerous today. I have the coffee right in front of me. So this is like a prototype box that we have, obviously, and it's filled with minis. It's filled with minis right now. Like these are our prototype minis that we have. They're full color. They're full color acrylic standees. And this box is full of them. That box is full of them. This box is full of them. There's just tons of full color acrylic minis. You know, they're double-sided. Now I will say, these are prototypes, and they are about twice as big as the real ones will be. It's very important to note. The real ones that will actually come with the Kickstarter will not be this big. These are twice as big as they will actually be. Which is fine for prototype purposes. It's fine for like the photo shoots that we have to do and all that kind of stuff. And it's fine for seeing how the artwork looks and how everything kind of looks and stuff. So, but it's like I said, we got tons and tons and tons of these. This artwork is all done by obviously real human artists that we pay. Obviously we pay them to do all this artwork and stuff. Oh no, I'm dropping everything. So Yeah. How many of these things do we have, I wonder? How many, Zach, how many of those acrylic minis, standees are in the game? It's quite a few. There's quite a few of them. By the way, I will be at GaryCon this year. I'll be playtesting Dungeon Drifters. So if you're going to be at GaryCon, I don't know when they post. I don't know when you can start signing up for games at GaryCon, but once that's open, you can go sign up for my playtest games, and then you can play with me. So, and then yeah, it'll be fun. So don't forget about that. There should be 47. Okay, yeah. So there's 46 in the base game, and then there's one for the VIPs, plus the ones for the expansion. Oh, that's right. We have 3 expansions as well that you can get as part of the Kickstarter. And so there are more minis that will go into the expansions then, obviously. Yeah. So the prototypes are like the shrinky dinks. You throw them into the oven and they shrink, or am I showing my age? I'm not going to comment on the last part. I don't know what a shrinky dink is. The only thing that I have ever thrown into an oven that shrinks is probably food that I cook too long in the oven and I forget to set a timer or something. Charlie Brown says, you like bananas and lettuce pizza? Well, sir, I'm at a loss for words. Congratulations. First time for everything. Your kid had shrinky dinks? What is a shrinky dink? What the heck is a shrinky dink? Hold on, we're gonna Google this. This had better not be like inappropriate that gets me in trouble. Shrinky dinks. Alright, images. Does not appear to be inappropriate. Where's my monitor? There we go. So shrinky dinks. What the heck are these things? It's like so I don't know what the heck these are. They're just like little thingies that you put on necklaces or something. Keychains? Shrinky dink keychains? Huh. Well, I'll tell you what, I would not refer to my miniatures as shrinky dinks just because that doesn't sound like it would be a wise marketing choice. But this is interesting. I have never seen these things before. No idea what this stuff is. Ooh, My Little Pony. My Little Pony Shrinky Dinks collector set. Oh yeah, it is bigger. Oh, so you color it. Oh, so it's big. You color it, and then you put it in the oven and it shrinks down. Oh, so your kids can color the stuff themselves. Oh, that is cool. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Do they still make these things? I don't think they still make these things. Wow. Then there's the pan. And then you put it in the oven. Oh, that's cool. Can you buy these? I'm gonna go on Amazon and see if you can buy a Shrinky Dink. Amazon. Shrinky Dink. You can buy them. You can buy them on Amazon. Wow. They still sell these things, and there's lots of them, and they are really cheap too. They are ultra cheap. Dang. Huh. Well, there you go. Well, thank you for sharing that with the class. All right, I saw a bunch more questions up here. Let's grab some of these. Here's one from Dylan. Tips for running travel. Running Horde of the Dragon Queen. The party is heading from Greenest to El Turel. I don't want to run a meaningless random encounter, but I know they'll want combat. Well, then give them combat. It's not meaningless if they want it. It doesn't have to be story related to have meaning. It doesn't have to be related to the main campaign to have meaning. There are lots of things that can give meaning to anything in your game. Puzzles are usually a stupid mechanic that are not based in any way on making sense. Like, why create a puzzle in a game? Puzzles have always boggled me. It's like, puzzles are just dumb. You know, make a guardian, or have it be locked, or have there be magic that protects it. You know, why make a puzzle? It's too complicated. And like, if a group of adventurers can figure a puzzle out in 15 minutes to a half an hour, and it was a complex puzzle, well then you spent a lot of money making that puzzle for no reason. You know, you should have just had like a nuclear bomb go off or something, and it would have been, I don't know. So like, but the reason you have puzzles in your game, even though they seem to be mostly make no sense in the context of the world, in my personal opinion, is that they have meaning because players like doing them. That's why you have puzzles usually. And I think that that's another reason that you have a random encounter. Like maybe there isn't a good reason for story why there would be a random encounter. You know, obviously you can always try to make a story reason, like, oh, this is how it relates to the main campaign. You could always do that if you want to, right? But sometimes there's just things out in the world that want your crap. They want to take your stuff, or they think you look tasty and they want to eat you. And so they attack you. You know, bandits just set up on the road. You know, there are marauding goblins and things like that are just out there. And so part of the reason for random encounters isn't like just because players want to kill stuff and fight stuff, but it is to reinforce the verisimilitude of the world, the real nature of the world. Like there are other things exist in this world besides your special quest. Other things exist besides Tiamat and the things that she's doing in the world. Like there's a whole bunch of other things happening. And occasionally you're going to run into those and you're going to have to deal with it. Now, we're not going to go crazy on that because we want to make sure we can actually accomplish the module that you all want to run, you know, but occasionally you're going to run into these things. And so I think putting those in there for that reason alone are fine. But it's also fine to just put a random encounter that's a combat in there because you know your players want to fight crap. You know, and you know that they like the Hoard of the Dragon Queen is probably filled with certain types of creatures. I've never read it. I don't even own it, but it's probably filled with certain types of creatures and stuff. And there's probably a whole spectrum of other types of monsters that would never get used in the module, but are super cool. And so the only way you're ever going to be able to include them in your game is to use them in random encounters and stuff like that. So I don't feel like we have to justify the random encounters that strongly. Like, oh, there's this campaign story reason for the random encounter. I don't think it's not necessary. There's lots of other good reasons to have random encounters in the game. You know, especially for the ones I'm starting to go in circles now. I think I've made my point. So we're just gonna move on. Thank you. Kelton says, I'm creating magical items that the gods used to create the world. The players will acquire them and gain benefits. What are your thoughts on the items having drawbacks like attracting mons? I don't know what mons are. Yeah, I think that's fine. If they are acquiring like very powerful items that were used to create the world, and I'm assuming that they're going to give them fairly strong benefits, then having drawbacks would be reasonable. And if it also seems reasonable that there would be other people looking for these magic items, you know, maybe cultists who think they can undo the world, you know, some cultists of some dark deities who are looking for these magic items because they believe that if they present all of them to their dark deity, that they can gain, unlimited power or something. I don't know. Just figure something out. But yeah, it's totally reasonable that other people would want them. There could be drawbacks to using them. There's no reason not to do that. You know, it's just add something else interesting to your game. You know, and players can always decide not to use them. Like I've given my players like magic items that are cursed or have drawbacks, and sometimes my players are just like, nah, I'm not going to use this. I don't like the curse. I had this one magic item. The only thing that it did as a negative drawback is it put barnacles on your skin. That's it. Magic weapon. It let you breathe underwater. It gave you a swim speed, but you grew barnacles. And the players were like, I'm not walking around with barnacles on my skin, dude. And then they sold it for that reason alone. It's like, I thought when I was making it that it was like a very minor drawback, But my players didn't see it that way, and they're just like, throw it in the bag of holding, take it to the town, and we're gonna sell it. And it's like, okay, you know, that's their choice, I guess. So, yeah, but I think your idea is fine, dude. Jabunsef says, I'm having a hard time making maps for all possibilities the players could pick. Oh, don't try. You don't do that. Stop, turn around. You're jumping off a cliff that leads to like a bottomless pit. You will fall down that hole forever. There is no bottom to that hole. You will fall through blackness for all eternity, and you will never hit the bottom of that hole. You got to walk away. You need to step back from that cliff and turn and walk the other way. You cannot map out all the possibilities. Impossible. I try to give big hints at certain choices, but sometimes the players will do something completely different. That's life, dude. That's the life of a game master. So and this is why I never think about what the players might do. Wait, are you talking about if you're talking about adventures they might go on, that's a different question. I'm assuming that it's not adventures they might go on. I'm assuming it's like very specific, like within the adventure, we're making certain choices and stuff. And you can't account for what they will or will not do. You can't account for whether they're going to try to befriend the monsters or just murder them. Like, they might come to the castle during the day and they notice that the castle is full of activity, so they come back at night, and then most people are sleeping, and so they try to sneak in and they manage to slit the throats of the people on watch. And then they just sneak through the entire castle, like slitting throats or something. Like, you know, and they're just rolling really well on stealth, and they're just, they got the plan down. They have invisibility. They have the ranger spell that allows you to move silently or quietly. It gives you like a +10 to your stealth or whatever it is. Like, they got all of these things going on, and they have a well executed plan. And it's just like, well, crap. What are you gonna do, man? So I think that you can't try to map out all the possibilities of how they might approach an adventure, you know. And this is why I've always, you know, recommended that you create a situation. You know, there are bad guys in the castle. They are doing bad things. You guys need to stop them somehow. You know, how are you gonna stop them? I don't know. I don't care. That's not my problem. I create the castle full of bad guys. That's the situation. I create the situation, and then you guys got to figure out what you're going to do about it. How are you going to approach it? You know? So that's how I've always recommended that you do things, because then if you understand the situation, you know the castle, you got the layout, you know the bad guys, you know what their motives are, and all this kind of stuff, then no matter what the players decide to do, you can react. You can use the information that you know and ask yourself, well, what would the bad guys do? What would happen? Oh no, they're coming back at night. Ooh, I didn't plan this castle to be at night. Well, that's okay. We'll just assume that 80% of people are sleeping, and then there's 20% of them that are on guard. That makes sense. That's fairly reasonable, you know? And then what would be the most likely point to have guards posted? Well, the towers, of course, maybe some walls. There's probably some there's probably some patrols that are mobile, that are walking around checking things. That all seems reasonable, you know? Some of them probably have dogs. They probably have bugles or horns or something, so they can sound an alert, you know, if something's going on. There might be a big central bell that gets rung, you know, to wake everybody up if there is an attack during the night. You know, so I think, you know, you set the situation up and then you just react, and that's what you got to do. You can't account for everything, and you certainly can't map it all out. And if we're talking about adventures, you know, don't try to, if you've created a world, you can't account for anything and everything that players might possibly do. You know, you should give them plot hooks to adventures that you're ready to run, you know, and then they can choose which plot hook they want to bite, and then you prepare that adventure for them, you know. But you cannot prepare for every possible thing that they might possibly do in a world either. That is just bonkers too. You can't do that. You'd be sitting there preparing all day, creating content, pages of content, and then none of it would get used, you know. Enter the person who says, yeah, but you can always recycle it. Oh my gosh. Don't do the work to begin with. You don't know that. So I probably kind of answered your question a little bit. Do I have anything special planned for my 100th Q&A? Nope. I'm just gonna sit here and answer questions. Should I say yes to like motivate you to be here? Probably, but I don't know, whatever. Just come. Oh yeah, we have a giveaway going on today, guys. We're gonna give away $50 DM Lair store credit. So please make sure to join the giveaway. It's free to join it. We'll draw the winner at the end of the live stream. There's a link in the chat. Just scroll until you find one and click it, and then go join the giveaway. And then we'll get you might get hooked up. You might get lucky. You might win. Also, don't forget to check out Dungeon Drifters. There's a link down in the chat. This is the board game that we are designing. The Kickstarter is going to launch in April. It's really cool. We have prototype minis, little full color, beautiful acrylic standees. There's like 46 of these in the base game, and then we have 3 expansions we're planning to. These things are super awesome. These are just prototypes, but they're really cool. I should probably just not keep putting them back in the box. This box is full of prototypes minis too. Yeah, so there's a link in the description, link in the chat. You can learn more. If you can give us your email, we'll notify when you launch. There's a link to the Kickstarter page too. And you can also place a $1 reservation. And when you place your $1 reservation, you will receive a free mini Sylvan Arachne and his loot drop when you back the Kickstarter. And that $1 reservation counts towards your Kickstarter pledge. So you're not paying anything extra. It counts towards your Kickstarter pledge, and you get a free mini when you put down your $1 reservation. So I highly encourage you, put down the $1 reservation, because you're gonna get free stuff and you're not paying a penny more than you would when you back the project, you know? And it's one of the only ways to get Sylvan Arachne. If you wait until the project launches and you want Sylvan Arachne, he's gonna cost extra. We're literally giving it to our reservationists, or whatever you wanna call them, for free. Other people will have to pay more for him if you want him. And so what's going to happen is most people, it's my mom. I bet you my mom is calling me. Hi, Mom. You're on live stream.
Oh, well, isn't that wonderful? Well, I just called to apologize because I didn't answer your text at one time because Mom was busy working.
Oh, I'm very upset with you. I don't think I can forgive you.
I just wanted to call and say I was sorry, honey.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, I love you.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right,
Bye-bye.
love you too. Bye. All right, there we go. She does that. She calls me when I'm on live stream. Reservists. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I said reservationists, didn't I? That doesn't make sense. Reservists. There we go. Okay, so anyway, what were we doing? Oh yeah, link, reserve your copy. It's really cool. We've been designing this thing since the summer, and we're playtesting it now, and Zach is literally writing, he's revising one of the mechanics of it. And we have some cool stuff. We have some cool stuff that we're doing with it. So anyway, I was gonna say that the rules are in a really good place, but then I was like, no, actually, the playtest, in that playtest, there was some things they wanted to change and stuff. So he's got to work on some revisions for that. So sucks to be Zach, I guess. You thought your phone was ringing? Oh yeah, dude. If I missed your question, feel free to repost it. It's all good. I'm not gonna scroll back up. I know, I'm lazy. Ryan, what's up, dude? How do you recommend handling 2 PCs that are twins, both ran by a single child players? Huh? A single child player? So there's a kid. The player is a child who is running 2 PCs that are twins. Okay. I'm actually a twin, and my brother is at the table too, and these 2 players are struggling. I don't know who's doing what, man. You lost me. Can you they are both people who have no siblings. Okay, I think I understand. I'm like trying to wrap my head around this. What the heck's going on around here? Okay, so I think there are two players. Each of them is running one character. The characters are twins. Okay. And the problem is these two players are struggling to run their characters. What? They're struggling with the role play aspect because they're not twins or something? What's the question? What are they struggling at? What's the problem? So you're gonna have to answer my question if you want your question answered. Critcraft says, when my PCs seek help from a high-level NPC, I always feel compelled to give a side quest, even if the PC and NPC motivations align. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Is this bad? Not necessarily. The thing is, look, come on. Usually, player characters, the players, what are they usually tasked with? Saving the world, right? Or righting some wrong, okay? So there's this bad thing that they're gonna go stop, essentially, right? There's always going to be other people in the world that don't like that bad thing either, right? You're gonna have some very powerful NPCs, whether it's because of, I'm a retired adventurer, or because I have political influence, or I have a lot of money or something. There's always gonna be a whole bunch of other people that don't like that bad thing, and so their motivations align, right? There's lots of them. But it's not reasonable for your players to just be able to go to them and be like, hey, help us. It's not reasonable. It's not reasonable. You can't just do that. It doesn't work that way in the real world either. It's like, what kind of example can I give you? It's like if you came, it's like, okay, so I don't like childhood hunger. I don't think that children should, be hungry and starve and stuff. I think we should help them, And so if you came to me and be like, Luke, I don't like childhood hunger either. I'm like, awesome, dude. That's great. We both believe in the same thing. Awesome. And then you're like, I want to dedicate my life to ending childhood hunger. I need you to pay me $80,000 a year so that I can dedicate my life to stopping that. And I'll be like, no, I'm not doing that. But why not? You believe in the same thing? No, dude. I'll give you $50. In fact, better yet, I will donate my $50 directly to a charity, that helps childhood hunger. Thank you. Now you go do something to help them too. It's like you can't just go up to somebody and be like, yo, dude, we believe the same thing, therefore give us. It doesn't work that way. Now, sometimes it does. Sometimes you can do that, but usually it's not going to work that way. Like you having a side quest or something is totally reasonable. But there's more than that, because we're not just talking about what's realistic in role play. We're also talking about the fact that this is a game. Okay? So at some point you have to say, well, if there's all these powerful people whose interests and motivations align with the PCs, then and if they can just go to them whenever they want and ask for help, and then they give them a bunch of help to go do the quest thing, okay, cool. Then what are we doing? Is the quest going to be really easy now because the NPCs are helping them? What if the powerful NPC is like, yes, I will adventure with you and I will help you. And well, it just so happens I'm a 15th level wizard. And so now that level 5 quest is going to be a cakewalk for you guys. It's like, is that really going to work? Because we have to consider this isn't just role playing. This is also a game. That's why we call it a role playing game. And games have mechanics, and games, you can't just have the level 15 wizard go with you on the quest when you're level 5 party, because then everything's a cakewalk and the wizard does all the work and you guys don't do jack, So it doesn't necessarily work that way. So from a game point, there's a problem with that. But the other thing too is that even if you have a level 15 wizard that's like, okay, yeah, I'll go with you, but here's the thing. I get all the loot. Because you all, level 5s, are kind of like my minions at this point. So I get all the loot, I'll give you something reasonable, minimum wage maybe, but the loot's mine. And by the way, here's the other thing, because I'm doing all the work, you guys aren't gonna get any experience points either, because I'm just doing everything for you. you know, so it's cool, I'll help you, but you're not getting anything. And so like I think the same thing is true, and that's an exaggerated example, but even if you have an NPC who the players are all like, hey, you know, we need help doing this bad thing, and your motivations line with thoughts, it's like, okay, I'll help you, but here's the thing, you know, I get 20% of the loot you find, but here's the thing, you bring back all of the loot and I get 20% of the coins, and I get my pick of the magic item that you find, and if you screw me, I'll find out. So like I don't think it's unreasonable. Like powerful people sometimes do things out of the generosity of their heart, but many times they don't. You know, many times there's got to be a give and a take, and not just because it's realistic, but also because it's a game, right? And it needs, that sort of thing needs to be, the game has to have something in there, you know, that deal with that. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, you know. It's the classic question, and it comes down to the classic question of like, you know, if these bandits are such a problem over here, why doesn't the city guard take care of them? Why is the captain of the guard coming to us to take care of the bandit problem? Now, there can be lots of good in-story reasons that you come up with for that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, there's a big reason why the captain of the guard went to the player characters to ask them to take care of the bandits. Because you're playing a game. And if the captain of the guard and the guard took care of the bandits, you wouldn't have a game to play. So at some point there's a balance between realism and role play and the fact that you're playing a game, and you have to juggle that balance, you know. It's just the way it is. How would you deal with a Path of the Zealot Barbarian who is invincible when Rage Beyond Death comes on? Makes any encounter without a caster bad guy trivial. I'm not familiar with that. Let's look that up really quick and see what the heck that is. Hopefully I can find this quickly on D&D Beyond. So this is, what did you say this was? Path of the Zealot Barbarian? All right, let's go to the game rules, classes. Oh jeez, I don't care. Barbarian? Path of the Zealot? What level do you get to pick these at? Level 3 is a Barbarian subclass. Where are these listed? Path of the Berserker, Path of the Wildheart, Path of the World Tree, Path of the Zealot. Okay. This is a Rage of the Gods. Level 14. What is the thing you're talking about? You guys probably can't see this. Need to zoom in a little bit. Rage Beyond Death. Where is Rage Beyond Death? I don't see anything on here about Rage Beyond Death. Can you tell me where I can find this? Oh gosh, I mean, it sounds like they probably changed it then, and they probably should have changed it. How do I look at the old version of this? They told us that we would always be able to find the 2014 rules. How I don't care about that. How do we find the 2014 rules? Does anybody know? How do I navigate to those? Because they promised us that we'd always be able to find them. How do I find where the heck is this crap? Okay, go back to classes and go back to classes and scroll down. Okay, cool. Here we go. Thank you. There we go. Path of the Zealot. There we go. Rage Beyond Death. There we go. Beginning at level 14. Okay. The divine power that fuels your rage allows you to shrug off fatal blows. While you're raging, having 0 hit points. Having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You must still make death saving throws, and you suffer the normal effects of taking damage while at 0 hit points. However, if you would die due to failing death saving throws, you don't die until your regions. And you die then only if you still have 0 hit points. Oh, so you're just unkillable. You're completely invincible. It's accessible, but only for those who are worthy. I am not worthy. I'm not worthy. If this, there's a few things to unpack in this thing, and I'm not going to do it right now. The bottom line is that if this were being used at my table and it were de facto turning into I'm invincible and nothing can kill me for reasons, I would house rule it. That's the bottom line. I would house rule it, and I would just change it. If it's turning into something totally broken, then I would just house rule it. That's the bottom line. I don't know what that house rule would be, because I'd have to talk to my players and be like, guys, this is what's happening. It's a problem. What do you think we could do? And I would probably ask them for ideas, you know, and then we would probably have to figure something out. But yeah, you can't just have somebody who's invincible and can never be killed. It's kind of like the druid has a similar thing, like the 2014 druid. If I remember correctly, the legacy druid, there's the circle. Is it the moon one? The circle of the moon. Right here. No, there was like a wild shape one where you have unlimited wild shapes, and so you can keep wild shaping and keep getting your hit points. Basically, you get a new hit point pool, so it's almost impossible to kill you. So I forget, I might be getting them messed up, but that was a thing that I remember, because that was something a while ago in Critical Role or something. I think they did a battle royale, and one of them was a druid, and they couldn't defeat her because she just kept getting more hit points, and it was like, oh, she had unlimited wild shapes, and they're like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So you immediately die if you were at negative maximum hit points. You can't get negative hit points. You can't get negative hit points in 5th edition. You have to take more. You have to take enough damage in a single attack that would reduce you to negative maximum hit points. That's hard to do when you are a level 14 plus barbarian. You probably have about 150 hit points at that time, something like that. There is no attack in the game that's going to do that much damage to you in one blow. Not going to happen. Let's go back to this. If I missed your question, feel free to repost it. My group is about to trial an initiative rule where all PCs that take a turn in a row can take one big shared turn, similar to Baldur's Gate 3 if you've played it. I've never played it before. Have you tried anything like this? They can take one big shared turn. No, man. No, I've never tried that. This is what I would really be worried about, okay? If they can take one big shared turn, that's going to turn into a big group discussion, planning out, like, you do this first and then I'll do this. And they're going to be optimizing all of their actions around each other. Like, you're going to have this is going to be like a committee discussion that's going to take some time. I would imagine that would add a bunch of bog to a combat. That's just my guess. I'm just spitballing here. But I suspect that if they can take one big shared turn, there would be lots of optimization talk that would be happening. And you would find that combat slows down quite a bit. And most of the time, there are almost always players that take turns back to back, depending on how you group your enemies. But a lot of times we group our enemies, like different types of enemies get grouped together in initiative. And many times you only have one type of enemy, maybe two. And so you're going to have lots of players that go back to back. And if you have these optimization talks during the middle of your combat rounds constantly, Not just optimizing like you do this on your turn, I'll do this on my turn, but like the order. Now it's you do this, now I'll do this, this, and this, and now the order that we do it in to make sure that we properly optimize. Oh man, that could be a real bog on the game. Now it might not. You might try it and it might be fine, you know, but that could add some bog. Will it add more power? Yeah, no, they should be able to make combinations or they should be able to like order their abilities and what they do in a certain order that gives them an advantage. That's the whole point of being able to have one big shared turn, is that you can optimize and do that sort of thing. I assume that's the point. So it'll be more powerful, but that's not really my biggest concern. You know, it would add like an increment of power, you know, which you could account for if you wanted to with probably relative ease. But my bigger concern is it slows down combat. That would be, if you find it slowing down combat, that's a big red flag. That's a problem. You don't want, unless it really makes combat way more fun for them, because a fast combat isn't the goal necessarily. You know, it just so happens that slow combat usually is boring combat. But if it does slow down combat, but you can tell the players love it and they don't care, well, then maybe it's not a problem. Maybe, you know, it's fine. But that I think that would be the thing to keep an eye out for when you start playtesting that. And it should be made very clear to the players that we are playtesting this. We are testing it out. And if we don't like it or I don't like it, we will stop doing it. I would make that very clear at the beginning that that's what you're doing. I'm gonna fill my coffee cup up.
Are you a dungeon master? Do you want to be a dungeon master? Do you have blue face paint on your face? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you're just like me. Not only do you enjoy smashing players in the face with your axe every time they metagame, but you're also a busy person, and while prepping for a D&D game, well, sometimes that's hard. And as much as you'd like to force one of your players to run D&D for a change, well, they all suck, so it's pretty much up to you to be the forever dungeon master. And that's exactly why I get out my crayons every month and write a new issue of Lair magazine. Well, I mean, it's not just me, I have a team of people too. We all get out our crayons and write it, but yeah. Anyway, every issue of Lair magazine contains 5th edition Dungeon Master resources to help you reduce your prep time while still running amazing games for your lazy, good-for-nothing players. Every issue of Lair magazine contains 2 to 3 adventures complete with maps for online play. You know, we also sprinkle in other stuff like puzzles and traps, which, let's be honest, both suck to have to make yourself. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather just become a DM Lair patron and pay me to write them for you? I mean, you know, my team and I, with our crayons? Now, if you love your wonderful players as much as I do, consider helping me to meet my sales quota by becoming a DM Lair patron today at the link below. You'll get a new issue of Lair magazine every month and other cool stuff like map packs and bonus adventures. Okay, that's it. Please become a DM Lair patron now or I will find you.
Wow, threats from the barbarian. You should all be terrified. At least I think that's what he was doing. I can't really hear it. So apparently we don't have enough likes on the video. How many likes do we currently have, George? I'm just curious. I never look at metrics during a live stream. Castles and Crusades combat is very fun and initiative is dynamic and a ton of fun. I played Castles and Crusades at Gary Con, I think about 2 years ago. I remember enjoying it, but I didn't get to experience the mechanics very much. This is always the thing when you play a game system for the first time at a convention. Like, most of the time you're just talking and doing stuff and making decisions, and you don't get to experience the mechanics a whole lot. But yeah, if you're here, throw a like on the video, because, you know, I don't know, I'm like ruggedly handsome and something, you know, or maybe my talkie doesn't suck or something, or you can just dislike the video too if you want to be that way. Be that way. That was a very, very, very strong motivating call to give me a like, wasn't it? All right, let's find some questions. How long is too long for a final battle at the end of a campaign? A game session is fine. I feel like if you can't get a final boss fight for a campaign done in 4 hours, that's crazy. I think that's plenty of time to get you. Like, I've had boss fights last for 2 to 3 hours before, you know, big, huge, massive fights that are brutal. I've had that happen before. Not very frequently, but it happens. So I feel like if you can't get it done in 4 hours, like something weird's going on. So I think that's probably enough. If it's going to take you more than 1 4-hour game session to do a big boss fight, I mean, I'd have to understand what's happening to really give you my thoughts and opinions on it, to be honest, you know. Make sure that's right there. But I don't know, just my gut response. Overboard, what's up, dude? You know, have you guys seen the movie Overboard? Oh my gosh, my wife loved that movie. Let me show you this movie. It's an old movie. Overboard movie. It's an old movie. It's an old movie. Oops, that's not the right one. Here's my dog. My dog is sleeping. Check this out. She's naked. My dog has no clothes on. You guys are like, Luke, what's wrong with you? So usually she either wears a harness or we have little clothes and outfits we put on her. But I'm giving her a break from her harness. It was giving her a rash. So I gotta get a new harness, or I gotta get something else. It's not gonna work anymore because she's getting a rash from it. So, but she's naked today. We're so used to seeing her with a harness on or clothes on. It's just funny to see her without anything on. I don't know why I get a kick out of it. I'm weird. What was I trying to do? Okay, I was trying to show you this. So this is the movie, Overboard, with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. This is a really cool movie. This is a fun movie. It's humorous. It's not full of like adult language and other bull crap, you know. It's just a fun, cool movie. But anyway, my wife and I this was like about a year ago. We went on vacation to like a castle in Ohio, and it was in the middle of nowhere. And what was I gonna say? They had movies there, and I remember this movie because my mom loved this movie when I was a kid, and so I was like, oh, they have Overboard, that's cool. My wife had never seen it, and so I got the movie and we watched it, and my wife loved this thing. I think we watched it like 2 or 3 times while we were there, you know. So it's cool. It's a really cool movie. I like it. All right, that's real. That's what I was talking about. Anyway, Overboard. You reminded me of that movie. The Rocket Crotch says, be sure to dislike the video, leave a hate comment down below, and subscribe now so that you can unsubscribe out of spite later. I like the way you think, dude. I like the way you think. How is our board game coming? You can't wait to pledge? Well, this is our prototype right here. And we have acrylic minis and stuff. These are prototypes. These are the prototypes of it. And I always want to preface that they're prototypes because they're literally twice as big as the actual ones will be. They're ginormous, which is fine when you just need them for like photo shoots and stuff, you know. Yeah, you like that? You like that? This cat's crazy. This is what she does. You give her attention and she likes it. She likes the attention. But you'd think that she were in pain or something. Yeah? You like that? You like that? And she's purring too. Yeah? Mwah. 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 This is Squirty Pie, by the way. She doesn't come up here very frequently. Where's Squeaky? Squeaky is always here hanging out with me. She's rubbing against my camera. Fortunately, I don't use that camera much anymore. Yeah. What were we talking about? I got distracted. I was in the middle of saying something and then we got distracted. Rocket Crotch was talking about something and then... Oh, Overboard says they made their name based on going overboard with their hobbies. Oh, that's cool. Was it Loveland Castle, Luke? No, it wasn't. That doesn't ring a bell. Let me see if I can find it. Castle in Ohio. It wasn't Loveland. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, was it Ravenwood? I think it was Ravenwood. That sounds familiar. Hold on, let's go look at this. Pretty sure it was Ravenwood. Sounds yes, this is it. It was Ravenwood Castle. This is where I was at. Yeah. They actually do a gaming convention there, it sounds like. But I would not recommend staying at this castle. We stayed, where did we stay? We stayed in, which room did we stay in? It was the one attached to the castle. It was attached castle rooms. Duke's Dungeon. Rapunzel's Tower. I think it might have been Rapunzel's Tower. No, that doesn't look familiar. That doesn't look familiar. It was the one... It was kind of in a tower to the side of the castle. But now I can't remember. Cinderella's Coach House? Actually, that might be it. That looks familiar. Yeah, this is it. This is where we stayed. Yeah. So there, it's the room up above. This is like a little building. It's next to the castle. It's like in the courtyard or whatever. It's this room right above here. And this looks familiar. This is where we stayed right here. Cinderella's Coach House. It actually was fairly decent. The thing is the food there was just atrocious. You can't order the food there. Oh man, it was so bad. It was so bad. Oh gosh. And this isn't like Luke is a snob and likes really pricey food or something. This was just like McDonald's is better, guys. Go to McDonald's. And the castle is out in the middle of nowhere. So if you want like a retreat where you just kind of go hang out by yourself and get away from it all, it fits the bill for that. But the food there is so bad, you have to drive somewhere to get food. Otherwise, you're going to starve. So like, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. So you have to drive 30 minutes plus to get to even a small town that has somewhere you can eat. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, it's rough. It's rough, you know? So, Medieval Cooks Authentic. It was not medieval food. It was not. Not at all. It looks nice. The photos look nice and stuff, but I don't know. I would probably, let's put it this way. If it were Luke going on a little getaway on his own, I'd probably be okay with it, you know, but my wife did not like this at all. The food was trash though. Like, I would not be okay with that. I'd bring my own, I don't know what I would do. Because there wasn't a kitchen or anything. I couldn't actually cook my food in the room that we were in. So, yeah. Anyway. And there's no internet. Zero internet. Nothing. Nada. Did they have internet? I don't even know if I could connect to their internet. I don't remember. Maybe they did. Anyway, why are we talking this much about this? It's pointless. Because somebody was asking me about the castle. Okay. Always bring a hot plate when traveling? I don't think there was Wi-Fi. I don't think so. There was definitely no phone signal. There was no phone signal. I had Verizon at the time, which is supposed to have really good coverage, and it doesn't. Verizon is horrible. Not only is Verizon super expensive, but it doesn't have good coverage. I've since changed from Verizon to Pure Talk, I think it's called, and they use the AT&T network, and I get much better signal with AT&T than I ever did with Verizon's bullcrap, and I pay half as much. Maybe they got a new cook since then. Go risk it just because maybe they don't suck anymore. Nah, dude. Once, and it wasn't cheap either. It was not cheap. Like, it was kind of expensive. But it was like, I'm gonna try something out, something new, cool little thing with my wife, you know. And she's like, no, I'd rather just go to the Hampton Inn or True, you know, just take me to a normal hotel. Try to do this fancy castle thing, and it's like, ugh. My players are going to investigate a sickness that I think will be caused by grungs in the city well. They're level 9. Any tips for making low CR monsters fun? Level them up. You level them up. That's what you do. Enter the person who's like, what are the stupid kobolds called? What are the kobolds called? The famous kobolds that everybody will use as an example of how to make low-level creatures challenging for players. Oh, you can turn them into swarms. Hey, there we go. Tucker's kobolds, thank you. Yeah, you could turn them into swarms. That would actually work. Swarm of grungs, because that will... And of course, you know what we're doing. We're turning them into higher. We're essentially making the challenge rating higher. So they're no longer a low CR creature because we turned it into a swarm, and now it's a high CR swarm. So, but yeah, you could definitely do that. You could turn into swarms, you know. You could just level them up too, just make them higher CR. There's nothing to say that a grung has to be a low CR creature. I would probably level them up, have some bosses, and then swarms are a good idea too. And yeah, I'm sure there are ways that you could take a low CR creature and actually make them fun and challenging even for a high group, but it's going to take a lot of work to figure out how to do that. And I don't know. I don't know that I have. So you're going to like what? Do a bunch of traps and stuff and have them make super powerful traps and things, or puzzles or something, or it's just like a non-combat adventure. It could be a non-combat adventure mostly. Or something. A frog hemoth, that's true. You could do one of those things. Those are nice. That's a higher CR. But now we're talking about pulling in high CR stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you could have some of them be spellcasters. Some of them could be powerful spellcasters, which increases the CR. Yeah, a lot of our suggestions are increase the CR. I don't think we're being terribly helpful for you right now. What's your favorite D&D 5e variant not made by Wizards of the Coast? Like what? A game that's similar to D&D 5e? I'm not sure what you're asking. Shadow Dark. It's very similar to 5th edition, but pretty cool. The only reason I'm leaning against just leveling them up, I like giving them an opportunity to feel like bad butts carving through enemies. Well, then just do it. Don't level them up. Just have an adventure where they're all low CR and your players just carve through them and destroy them. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody says you can't do that if you want to do that. You know, what I would probably do is. Players like feeling cool and powerful by carving through enemies and doing things like that. But if there's no opposition whatsoever and there's no challenge, I think you're going to find that they'll feel a little bit kind of like, that wasn't as cool as it could have been. So what I would do is have there be mobs and stuff that they just carve through and they're just like, stupid grung, we're just going to eradicate you. Just go total Hodor on you. But then I'd have there be a twist where the grung, there are lots of grung there, but there's something else too. It might be their deity or something, a powerful creature that lives in, it's like a sewers or the well or something, and the well I believe you were talking about. So there's something else down there that the players are unaware of, that the grung worship or they serve or something. Or maybe it's just something else is slumbering down there. And when the players come down and start slaughtering grung and making a big ruckus, that thing awakens. And I mean, it could be some like powerful, like slime creature that lives down there. And, you know, the grung were down there. They were poisoning the well by scraping off the slime from this thing's skin and putting it into the well or something, you know, and that's kind of what they were doing. And so as they're going through killing the grung, this thing wakes up, you know, or maybe the grung wake it up because they're like, we're being eradicated. We're going to wake this thing up and maybe it might kill us, but it hopefully will kill them too. And then there's something that twists the challenge down there that then they're like, oh, we were slaughtering grung, but oh crap, what did we do? And then you have a fight that's challenging, right? That they have to overcome. So you could even do something cool, like have a bunch of, like, the loot could be embedded in this thing's like slimy skin or something too. I don't know. I would do something, you gotta put something in there so there's some sort of challenge, you know. Just wading through enemies and slaughtering them left and right probably is not. It'll feel cool and fun, but if that's all that happens, I think they'll feel kind of like, you know. All right, looking for questions. If I missed your question, please drop it in the chat again. Nobody will bonk you for spam. What's your favorite 5e system that's not made by Wizards of the Coast but is compatible with D&D 5e, such as Leveled Up Advanced 5e or Tales of the Valiant? I'm not familiar with Leveled Up Advanced 5e. I've heard of it. I have Tales of the Valiant. I flipped through it. It looks like a carbon copy clone in almost every regard that I can see. There were a couple things that were different. Like, instead of inspiration, they use luck points, I think, or something. But I crap you not. It looked like copy paste to me. It did. I'm sorry. So, like, at that point, you can't be like, yeah, I really like it. It's like, well, it's the same thing, dude. It's a copy paste job, you know? So I don't know, man. They use luck? Okay, yeah. I thought it was something like that. But for all intents and purposes, it's the exact same game system. Critcraft says, thanks for the last answer. You better believe it. Happy to help, dude. What do you do when you have an idea, but it is not quite coming together? You don't want to throw it out, but you feel a bit stuck. I think about it. You just think about it. You mull it over. Take a shower. Brush your teeth. You know, when you're going for a walk, when you're at the gym lifting weights, when you're on the treadmill, you know, you just think about it. You know, how am I going to make this work? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, and then you just start brainstorming and coming up with ideas and stuff. But usually some of my best ideation happens when I'm doing other stuff and I'm just letting my brain wander about this thing. You know, I don't like sit at my desk being like, oh, oof, what am I going to do about this adventure? It's usually I'm thinking about the adventure or whatever the problem is, whatever I'm stuck on, you know, while I'm doing other things. And then I'm just like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. You can also immerse yourself in media that that will help you to like brainstorm in a way. What am I getting at? So like, if part of the idea is you need like inspiration or something, or you're looking for a specific monster or something, I don't know, you might just be flipping through the monster manual, looking at different monsters and things until something, oh, that'll work. Like, let's say you have a big bad, but you need minions, and you're just like, I don't know what the minions are going to be. Then you flip through the monster manual or something. You know what I mean? Or you might just kind of have this problem, this stuck problem in your back of your head, you know, and you're watching movies and stuff, and then something in the movie is like, oh, I could do something like that. That might work. So I don't think that there's like, I don't know that there's like a methodology I can give you when you're feeling stuck. It's just kind of, you got to mull it over and just kind of think about it during different parts of your day and your life until something seems like it'll work, you know? I don't know. Something like that. That's probably the best I got. So what would I do? Now do the opposite. Yeah, absolutely. Question. There's so many systems available. How do you choose one to stick with for a long-term campaign? Do you have one you like? Do you have one that you're excited about? That's probably a good way to go. Hopefully you have an inkling that your players will like the game system as well. That's probably a good, solid factor. But I think that if I were starting out a campaign, I would need to be excited about the game system. You know, since I have many that I could choose from right now. I have several that I know that I could run a campaign in, but what am I most excited about? Am I really excited about Pathfinder 2 or Shadow Dark or D&D 5th edition or Castles and Crusades or Savage Worlds or, you know, like, what am I excited about? That's a really good place to start as the game master, because you want to be excited about it. Otherwise, it might not be as long of a term campaign as you're thinking it might be. So I think that's a good place to start. You should also probably think about what is the feel of the campaign going to be. You know, many people would say things like, what kind of story are you trying to tell? But I don't try to tell stories as the game master quite so much as I think other people would tend to suggest that game masters should or do. So I don't like asking that question. I'm only one of many storytellers at the game table. We're all telling a collaborative, collective story. I'm the lead storyteller, but that's as far as it goes. So, but if you are trying to run, if you want to run a game where the players feel powerful, you know, with lots of abilities and stuff, and we can take on stuff, well, then Shadow Dark might not be the game system for you, because Shadow Dark is a gritty, like, harder core game system where death happens. You know, you're not a superhero, dude. Things can get brutal very fast, and they often do. So if that's the type of game system that you want, then you probably don't want Shadow Dark. You probably want something else, you know? But if you want that, if you want the dark, gritty, real, brutal, like, oh, we're going to churn through characters and people are going to die, you know, well, then Shadow Dark's a pretty good choice for that. So I feel like you probably need to think about the type of campaign you want to run, you know, as well when you're picking the game system, because different game systems are going to be better suited for certain things. You know, like the D&D 5th edition is like heavy combat. You know, it's like most of the game rules revolve around combat. And so if you don't want to play it, if you want to play a game that has almost no combat, well, then D&D 5th edition might not be the best game system for you. There are probably better game systems out there that can handle games that don't have combat, that are mostly just social interactions or exploration. So I think those are good questions to ask as well, because if you try to force the square peg into a round hole, as they say, with your game system, then it'll be a suboptimal choice. So I would think about that as well. Tom Nelson, hello, dude. You gotta run. See you, dude. Thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Appreciate it. He's probably already gone. He's like, Luke, I'm like 5 minutes gone, dude. See ya. Question: if the big bad is a cleric, for example, how closely do you feel that you need to stick to actual class abilities? None at all. I'll do whatever I want to do. Now, that said, I'll usually just pick pre-existing things because I don't have time personally to make up a bunch of special crap. But you can do whatever you want, man. And you should, because it makes it more exciting when the players are like, oh my gosh, they can do what? We can't do that. No, of course you can't, because I'm special. I have a world I've been running and developing for 8 years. I started with 5e material, then transitioned it to my own original lore. It can be overwhelming. What advice would you give with this? I mean, you chose your poison, dude. Swallow it. So I've developed worlds before, and when you're developing for your campaign, I would make sure you're focusing on the parts of the world that are directly relevant to your campaign that you're running. Where are the characters now? Where are they going to go? You know, what are the nations or cities nearby where they might possibly go, or that might influence their local region? So I think I would focus on like where they are and then work my way out. This is just a very basic high level advice, you know. But if you're developing an entire world, it can't not be overwhelming, because you're developing so much stuff for the world. Now, what I would always do when I was developing worlds, I would have templates for like a country. So when I'm developing a country, for instance, or some city-states or something, there's always certain things you need to do, right? Like you need to know what their form of government is. You know, are they a monarchy? Are they, you know, are they ruled by a city council or a you know, do they have a shaman that leads everybody? You know, what's their form of government? You know, okay, great, got it. Now, what kind of, like, they got to have like armies and soldiers and stuff. Okay, cool. Let's figure out what that looks like. What kind of armor do they wear? Do they have like knights? Do they use chariots and stuff like that? Let's talk about that, right? What's the capital city? What are the main cities? What do the populations look like? What's the culture look like? Is there a certain sort of dress that they all wear? Do they have any slang that they use? Like, these are all like, and there are more things, right? But I literally had a template. Every time I'm like, okay, we're gonna work on this country here. Here's a template, literally a Word document template that I would begin filling out for that country. And that would just give me some guidelines for my world developing of like, what am I gonna do as I'm creating this country? Same thing for a city, you know? Many cities are they don't have to be, but they tend to be separated into different districts or wards. Usually in medieval times, they call them wards. But like, for instance, there's a downtown area, you know, that has the government buildings and stuff in that city. And there's a lot of shops and things like that. Police headquarters are probably down there. And then outside of the downtown, you know, you usually have like suburb type things, lots of residential areas and stuff, you know. There might be an area that mostly, like, there's a dock ward. This is the dock next to the river. And so here are lots of warehouses and taverns and lodging and stuff for like, you know, dock workers or sailors and crap like that. So there's develop templates, I think, is a way that is going to help you direct your effort. And it also, templates help you focus on developing the most important things and making sure that you don't overlook something important when you are developing a certain aspect of your game world. So I think that's important too. I mean, templates can be super helpful. Yeah. Maps are super important. I like making maps and mapping out, you know, the country, where the main cities are, the roads, what they look like. And the maps are also like, when you're thinking about, when you're developing the countries, maps have a lot to do with the borders of countries and cities. You know, if there's a natural border, like a river or a mountain range, many times that is going to be the border of that city state or that country. So having a map handy to make those decisions. Maps will also help determine things like the you want to call it, how they derive their existence. You know, are they farmers? Are they miners? Are they foresters, lumberjacks and stuff like that? Because, you know, depending on where they live geographically, that influences things like that. And so I think that that's an important thing to consider as well when you're developing your countries and cities and things like that. So, but there's a lot to consider. You know, there's a lot to talk about in that topic. But I don't consider myself an expert by any means at that. Just those are some things, I don't know, that I recall that were very helpful when I was doing that stuff. Trinda, welcome to the live stream. Yeah, we don't have much time left. Actually, you guys, this is your last chance to join the giveaway. We're going to give away $50 in DM Lair store credit. So there's a link in the chat somewhere. Click it, go join up, and you might win. And you can buy a bunches of cool stuff on our store for, you know, your games, D&D 5th edition, Pathfinder 2 and crap. We'll draw the winner in about 5 minutes. So this is your last chance to sign up for the giveaway. Also, don't forget to check out Dungeon Drifters. There's a link down in the chat, in the description. This is our board game Kickstarter that's coming up in April. So essentially, we've designed the game so that it's like a D&D adjacent game for younger family members, casual friends, folks who maybe aren't old enough to play D&D or aren't interested in something as heavy as D&D. And they just want to sit down with friends and essentially delve into dungeons, kill monsters, take their stuff, and then become powerful, and then beat your friends and be the first one to like be ultra powerful and escape the dungeon. We've designed it so that it is super fast to set up, probably about 10 minutes. You just put the tiles down, you populate your first room, you place your characters, and then you start playing. It's super fast. That was one of our design criterias, was fast setup time. So we don't have long, complicated scenarios to set up or anything. It's just like boom, 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 you start playing. And the rules are easy too. That was another one of our design criteria. We want the rules to be easy to understand and easy to use so that you can play them with your casual friends or with younger family members. Like maybe you got someone who's like, you know, a younger family member who's like maybe not too young, say, for D&D, or not quite into that sort of thing or whatever, and you just want to play something, you know, like you're a dad or you're a mom, and you're like, I want some family time with my kids and stuff, you know, before they like are teenagers and hate me, or say they do or whatever, you know. Yeah, I've had one of those. So yeah, so anyway, that's like some of the design criteria and the ways we designed it and stuff, but it's cool. And we have like, you know, you'll get full color acrylic standees with it. 46 of these come with the base game, and then there are 3 expansions as well that will have their own acrylic standees and stuff. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited. This is our first board game we're designing. We've been designing and playtesting it since summer. I think August is when we actually started doing it. And right now Zach is running a playtest with other people as well. Finding out some really good information and making some tweaks to the rules and stuff. So it's really cool. So there's a link down in the description, in the chat, where you can learn more about Dungeon Drifters, and you can put down a $1 reservation, which will be applied towards your pledge. Like you're putting down a reservation for $1 that gets applied towards your pledge when you actually back the project at Kickstarter. But here's the thing, when you put down that $1 reservation, you'll get a free mini Silk Von Arachne and his loot drop included with your pledge. And if you don't put the $1 reservation down and later decide that you want to get Silk Von Arachne, it'll cost you extra. But if you put down the $1 reservation, we literally give it to you for free. And the $1 reservation counts towards your pledge. So you're literally paying nothing extra. You're just putting a reservation down before the Kickstarter launches. So at the link in the description, it tells you more about the game and how you can do the reservation and all that kind of stuff. So it's all included and explained and crap down there. So there you go. Also, I'll be at GaryCon in a couple months, and we will be playtesting Dungeon Drifters as well. So once the signups, if you're going to be at GaryCon, you can come play with me. And once the signups actually open, you'll be able to find my games, Dungeon Drifter playtests, and you can sign up for them and then come play with me, and it'll be fun. All right, an online class, ooh, fun. Nixus says pertinent word structurisms. Luke's a word tinkerer. I don't know what you're saying, but I have inventive talkie. Absolutely. Valerie says, I'm a fantasy author and also a DM, and sometimes I'll be writing and noticing that I'm writing my books like I would a campaign. And I'm like, dude, yeah. I have a few manuscripts that I wrote. I have a manuscript that I wrote when I was in high school. And then when I was in college, I finished a manuscript. And then there was a third manuscript that I started in college, but I never finished it. So, and that's where I did most of my world building, was when I was writing these manuscripts. I call them manuscripts, not books, because they're not actually published. They're manuscripts. That's what you call them when they're not published. I'm pretty sure they are. So anyway, and then after college, like this was like when I was a professional working at a job, I started like writing again. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll get back into writing. And then I started looking into like actually getting your book published and stuff. And I was like, dude, that's really hard, man. I forgot about that. I don't think I'm going to write anymore. And of course, now I have published books, but I self-publish and do Kickstarters and sell them and stuff. So anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this. I'm just blabbering at this point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to draw the winner to the giveaway. All right, draw winner. Draw winner to giveaway. Here we go. Whee! All right, Jamie from North Carolina. Jamie from North Carolina, you have won. I'll be sending you an email, Jamie. We'll get you hooked up with $50 DM Lair store credit. And there you go. Congratulations. Dreams and Any, that's you. Okay, cool. Welcome. Congratulations. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave. Now, remember, if I missed your question, there is a link down in the description, and I'll put it in the pinned comment, where you can literally go into a form and leave your question, and then I'll answer it in the next live stream. I actually have 3 questions in the form right now that I forgot to get to tonight. But if I missed your question, put your question in the form, and I'll try to remember to answer it in our next live stream, which will be next week. It'll be our 100th live stream, so I'm sorry if I missed it. By the way, if you're deeply offended that I missed your question, believe me when I say that I skipped you intentionally just to offend you because I'm a jerk. Obviously not true. Just leave it in the form. You guys got me. All right, I'm out of here. People get upset because they go, Luke, you're mean. I'm like, I know, I'm horrible. I'm a horrible person. All right, I'm done. Goodbye.